So who knew that Kanye West is a racist piece of shit? Who knew Kanye West is a racist piece of shit? I guess I gotta cancel that Kanye West Hallpalooza. I was gonna. Jesus Christ. I don't give a fuck if you're an atheist or a religious person. Just be committed to goodness. Be committed to goodness. Motherfucker just wants to be. You know what? He may have actually heard a lot of that racist shit and thinks that's what, Americans actually think. But you gotta be committed to goodness. Be committed to goodness. And Adolf Hitler, I don't even know how this is a question, but this is. I'm not into cancel culture. Not into cancel culture. But Adolf Hitler, I think that's a good cancel. That's a good cancel. That makes sense. All the innocent people he killed. He wants to take over the fucking world. He was suicidal. I'm not even sure what the hell. Yeah, did he invent the highway and the market? He's not an inventor. He don't invent shit. I can imagine Adolf being in a goddamn lab coat. He ain't no fucking inventor. I could not imagine. I can never imagine Adolf being in a scientific... Yeah, just tinkering with shit, trying to... Oh my God, Eureka! I've come up with a brand new... What, a fucking automobile? That Adolf Hitler, he was a regular old Tesla. And motherfucker, every time you say Hitler, you gotta say Anne Frank 30 times. But the way that Kanye said it, Jesus Christ. He did look like the gimp. I mean, that's what you assholes... That's exactly what you all look like. And, it seemed like Donald might have been right around, in the horizon, acting like he's going to run again. But the midterm elections kind of indicated that the people are kind of done with him, kind of moving on. So since there was that big loss, it's now like Kanye's coming big, right? Go big or go home, huh? And that's what Kanye said. He said, there's a lot I like about Hitler. There's a lot I like about Hitler. There's a lot you like about evil, you piece of shit, you wicked, evil piece of shit. God damn. I want to say shut the fuck up or just stuff it, but go to hell, Kanye. What the fuck is the matter with you? There's, in Judaism, there is no hell, but there is a hell in Christianity, so why don't you just go on to your own Christian hell, you piece of shit? You want to say this? The Jewish people, look at the presidents. You got two Catholics. Bush and Biden were Catholics. And then Obama was like an atheist Christian. Donald's like an anti-Christ Christian. It's Christianity and God we trust. God save America. God save the Queen. There's a church on every other fucking block. There's a Starbucks and there's a church on every other block. A Christian church. And then there's usually about a pile of homeless people sleeping right next to the Christian church because they haven't got rid of poverty whatsoever. Why don't y'all use your churches actually to, as like anti-poverty sanctuaries? I don't know. But could you imagine if Kanye would have said that there's a lot that he liked about Bernie Sanders? There's a lot that he likes about universal basic income. There's a lot that he likes about ranked choice voting. He's big into democracy. There's a lot that he likes about a constitutional convention. Pete Davidson, on the other hand, he's converted to Judaism now. So Pete Davidson has found the light and is going to become one of the chosen people. So he's going to join the ranks of Henry Winkler and Larry David and John Stewart and Harry Houdini. Harry Houdini. Man, he could get out of any lock, my God, that... What's the hate about a magician? What's the hate about Henry Winkler, the Fonz? Hey, what's that show? Happy Days, Happy 1950s. I saw that episode where he helped the father get close to the son, and he was like, "Oh, you're just a scaredy cat," and the Fonz pretended to be a scaredy cat so he could give the father back the dignity in the son. That great episode where he jumped the shark. Did you see the Fonz? He jumped that shark like it wasn't shit. Henry Winkler was hilarious in Children's Hospital. Fucking deadpan funny. Henry Winkler, Sarah Silverman, Larry David, John Stewart. Jewish people like to make us laugh. Jewish people are 75% Democratic. Jewish people are... That's where they're at. Jewish people is where it's at. Rashad Ritchie said, could you imagine if he said, there's a lot that he likes about George Floyd? No, he didn't even care about George Floyd's life. In fact, poor Kanye's got the boot on his poor neck. There's a lot I like. Oh, God, that was so gross how he did that. And I don't like that Israel is taking settlements from Palestine, but this isn't the way to go about it. This isn't the way to go about it. Israel taking Palestinian settlements is saying that they don't understand thou shalt not steal. That goes back to the Torah. That's the Old Testament. And, how the fuck can Kanye call himself a Christian and hate Jewish people? Now, I know that there's been persecution. Christians have persecuted Jews a whole bunch of times. Have Jews persecuted Christians? Does it ever go back the other way? Because Christianity is basically Judaism 2.0. Jesus was a Jew. And so really you got to make the argument, what does Christianity bring to the table that Judaism already doesn't have? Right? You got the New Testament and then the Old Testament, that's Judaism, kind of right. So then the Moses and the Torah so Christianity is Judaism 2.0, and then Islam, the Muslims, they say they're Judaism 3.0. So they take Judaism as their foundation, but they've improved upon it. But what has Christianity improved upon? Do they even know their own foundations, or is it just, I'm right, you're wrong? Because Islam says they're Judaism 3.0. Are they right? And what about the, Hindu? And what about the Buddhist? And what about the Zoroasters? Nobody's talking about the Zoroasters. I think, frankly, it's the Zoroasters that's running Hollywood. That's just my opinion. My opinion is the Zoroasters. This country is Christian as fuck. White Anglo-Saxon Protestants, there's a Baptist, there's a Christian, there's a Catholic, there's a evangelical, there's a Mormon, there's a Latter-day Saint, I was actually shocked to hear that 23% was unaffiliated. No kidding. Okay, we're getting back to rationality. I like this. You got the freedom to religion. You got the freedom from religion. You got the freedom to think. You got the freedom to be as stupid or as smart as you want to be in America. Proud to be an American. Or at least I could be free as to be a dumb fuck, religious fuck. Where proud to be an American. Well, I know I can be a religious dumb fuck. Okay, so $200,000. That's what the settlement, that's what the custody. Kanye lost the settlement to Kim Kardashian. He's going to have to pay child support, $200,000 a month for child support. I mean, what the fuck? How's he going to pay for any of that? Because he's going to go bankrupt. He's going to lose every bit that he's got. What's next, Kanye? I mean, if you're really going to really jump the shark, if you're going to fucking torpedo, if you're going to go down, if your airplane has been attacked and you're going down, might as well go down in flames. Might as well fucking go down in flames and kamikaze and why not praise, the KKK and the Confederacy too, piece of shit. Talk about what a dumb motherfucker. I mean, I guess there are some problematic historical figures in America's history, George Washington and Woodrow Wilson, and I want to talk a little bit more about that. But first, Kanye, you're going to praise the KKK? You're going to praise the Confederacy? You know that Jefferson Davis, I like a lot of that thing about Jefferson Davis. There might have been something. Hitler was a vegan. But you know what? If you go vegan, it's not because motherfucking Hitler is fucking vegan, motherfucker. It's because you don't like to hurt animals. And then what a fucking weird hypocrite. So Hitler hated, communists and Jewish people and black folks and didn't mind killing them and shoving them into concentration camps. So if Kanye was in, Nazi Germany, he would have been ushered off into a concentration camp. So it makes no sense for him to be an admirer of a person that has zero respect for him whatsoever. So you might as well start praising the KKK, the Confederates, Nazi. What the fuck? Those are like the three worst fucking white supremacist groups in American. When I think about like gangs, there's brown gangs and black gangs. Those are the white gangs, and they're the worst fucking people in our society. They're the ones that are most likely to be insane and psychotic and terrorists. They harbor all these wicked ideas inside themselves. I mean, what the fuck is going on? People want to be against racism. And then that CRT. Didn't CRT is kind of going too far. Kanye didn't even know he could be a racist piece of shit. He knew he was being a hate-filled piece of shit, but he didn't know it was like, you know, what white supremacy. He didn't. So yeah, Kanye, what the fuck? You racist, authoritarian fucking piece of shit. God damn, a racist. Go to fucking hell, you piece of shit. God damn. Racist, sexist, anti-Semitic piece of shit. Fucking probably authoritarian, fucking Nazi, you Nazi motherfucker, you white supremacy, you fucking. Ugh. Kanye normalized all these crazy. He normalized Alex Jones. He normalized Piers Morgan. He normalized Tim Pool. He normalized that fucking Schultz. He even normalized that fucking Schultz. Yeah, nobody's insane anymore. Now that Kanye's making his media circuit, nobody's insane anymore. I wonder how much they paid him to go to the show. Hey, give me $5,000, right? We're just going to pick people out of the Gotham Asylum next. Hey, that one looks like he's losing his mind, too. It's kind of awful how people parade somebody that's going on a mental fucking breakdown. He's melting down. And people are paying him. Hey, why don't you come on my show so you can melt down on my show, too? So I don't know. I've never actually heard of any time the Jewish people are persecuted. Like, throughout history, there's something that warms Germany. Over and over again, the pogroms in Russia. Jewish people are just being targeted over and over again. This is just something that happens in history over and over and over again. But the Christians, I guess back in the Romans' time, there was some persecution of the Christians. And there's some warlords in Africa that persecutes Christians. But we're in 2022. Why? Because that's a Christian timeline. 0 is when Jesus Christ was born. Christianity has pretty much, kind of won, right? Roman Empire and then Europe and then America. We kind of spread that shit all over the place. Western civilization, right? That damn Nick Fuente, he looks like a Weasley Goebbels. Nick Fuente, Goebbels. That fucking Goebbels a fucking weasel. Fucking Fuente, weasel motherfucker. You see how happy he is, too. It's fucking weird how Nick Fuente's he's picking the ball up. He's like, well, it's really them, isn't it? Because if you go back in 2018, you're really running with that ball, huh? He's really running with that anti-Semitism ball there. So, who invented highways or the microphone? It wasn't Adolf Hitler. It was Al Gore. Al Gore is the one who invented the highways and the microphone. Eisenhower had the interstate system. The highways had been around since Native Americans. There was the Wilderness Trail in Kentucky, so the Shawnee had already made a fucking roads. So there's roads all over the place. And if you're not, Romans had fucking roads, and they had like nice roads and shit. But if you're talking about highways, so what they finally put concrete on the roads, they finally put some asphalt, put some tarmac on the roads. Who put the tarmac on the roads? I guess who the fuck started goddamn, paving roads. But to sit there and say they invented highways, that motherfucker's not. And then the microphone, I'm not for sure about anything of the microphone, so I'll have to look into that. Because ultimately we can beat Kanye. He's a racist piece of shit, but we can call him out, and we should. But ultimately we're going to beat him in the, for hearts and minds by giving people facts and logic. And just hitting people with facts and logic and facts and logic. Henry Winkler is funny. What has Kanye West got, against Henry Winkler or Adam Sandler or Sarah Silverman, Larry David, Jon Stewart, or Harry Houdini? Hey, Kanye West, what the fuck did Harry Houdini ever do to you, you piece of shit? He would have been thrown into the concentration camp. He would have been lynched. He would have been killed under the Third Reich, under fucking Adolf Hitler. Kanye West would have been sitting right next to Anne Frank. So the last thing I'm going to mention, well, no, not the last thing. Twitter. What did Donald say about Kim Kardashian? Apparently he got kicked off of Twitter again. Don't know if it's just a 12-hour ban or forever. But still, we're all about free speech, and now he's, spreading hatred and then inciting violence. I thought Elon Musk was all about free speech, and now it's going back. But then it is a cesspool of fucking racist. We need to respect. Free speech is cool. Respectability is cool. Why don't you have a bunch of, a lot of journalists use Twitter as a way to get their. Last but not least, as Americans, we have some problematic figures. We got Woodrow Wilson and George Washington. George Washington was a slave-owning piece of shit. So, there's a problem there, right? I mean, if you're a black person, I could understand why you would just hate George Washington forever and ever and ever. Well, I mean, he owned us, 300 of us, and, if we ran away, then we would get beat up and have to go back and pick his fucking, tobacco hemp. Have to get his hemp and do the sugar beets or whatever, whatever dumb shit he wants to. So that's big time problematic, right? Woodrow Wilson's problematic. Now, ultimately, when it comes to George Washington and Woodrow Wilson, you got to make a list of, pros and cons. George Washington was up against the British Empire, so were the redcoats, were they worse? What did we get with George Washington? Well, we got the Bill of Rights, and we got the Constitution, and we got 3 branches of government. And then ultimately, with Abraham Lincoln in the Civil War, we got rid of slavery. So George Washington on his deathbed, had freed his, slaves. And then Martha Washington tried to keep them, and then ultimately she realized she wasn't going to be able to do that. So that's fantastic legacy. That's a fantastic legacy. I feel like it's a fantastic legacy because he basically edged to the right side. And if, you weigh them out and the scales of justice is even, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If you're back in the 1760s, 1770s, which side would you have been on? The fucking King George III or George Washington? I mean, if you were in America, it wouldn't make any sense. If you were on the redcoat side, then you would have lost. You would have lost everything that you got. And you would have been on the losing side, and you was on the wrong fucking side, frankly. You want monarchy? Oh, okay. You want that piece of shit from way over there in that island to tell us what to fucking do? Fuck you. I like that we're Americans. So, George Washington was a racist piece of shit. Problematic to say the least. I could understand. That's what in Lincoln's time, Abraham Lincoln, you had William Lloyd Garrison, right? An abolitionist that basically said the same thing. Yeah, he is George Washington. Oh yeah, he owned slaves. Fuck him. John Adams did not. So it wasn't actually like everybody was genociding and owning slaves and being a bunch of fucking Nazi motherfuckers. And the Native American genocide is where Adolf Hitler just admired the asymmetrical warfare. So George Washington was, may have been the inspiration for Adolf when it came to the killing of the Iroquois in New York. And then when it came to the Northwest Territory, attacking the Shawnee and the Mingo in Indiana and Ohio and Illinois. So George Washington, he's got fucking slaves. He's a fucking genocider. Woodrow Wilson, so they're both problematic. I think ultimately, though, the scales of justice, for me, George Washington he bothers me a lot. But ultimately, I think that he was on the right side. So I think the scales tip in his favor. On the other hand, Woodrow Wilson, I don't like this motherfucker. We were on the right side of World War I. But I don't feel great about World War I. Trench warfare, fighting for inches over there. And then ultimately it was like some fucking shit deal. And then he's like smashing all the socialists over here. And he's also invading all these other fucking countries. So he's been imperialist. He's also racist. He said that the birth of a nation was like writing history with lightning. He was meaning that the KKK saved, the white people from black oppression during Reconstruction, which is insanity. And his cabinet was segregated, so he was still had a segregated administration, which, if he was progressive, he's known as a progressive, so he takes the title and mantle of progressive. I like Teddy Roosevelt a lot better than that fucking Woodrow Wilson. A lot of problems with Woodrow Wilson. So I think he's right on Woodrow, World War I, barely. He's barely right on World War I. But he's wrong on a host of other fucking issues. So the League of Nations, I think it was, correct that we were kind of leading the way with the League of Nations, the 14 points. Woodrow Wilson is problematic, and ultimately, I don't like him. And so, when I, compare pros and cons, Woodrow Wilson loses and George Washington wins. Why am I saying that? Because if you try to parse out the differences, right? What are the pros? What are the cons? He's going to sit there and try to say Adolf is motherfucking great. Fuck you, you piece of shit. I can't. What the hell? What's Adolf's saving grace? He didn't invent that shit, you fucking piece of shit. If anything, the best thing you could say is like part of the government that oversaw the scientists that invented this shit or some shit like that. He didn't fucking invent that shit. So that stuff already would have been invented. There's nothing you could say about this motherfucking Adolf. In fact, it's so stupid. It's like the Confederates. You're telling me back in the 1860s you like the South, the fucking governments there? How many, what about 1950s Germany? You a big fan of the 1970s Germany? Who was the prime minister of motherfucking 1980s Germany, huh? You're going to go back to the 1930s and 40s and tell me that you're a racist, bigoted piece of shit and you're just saying awful things because you're just saying awful things. Maybe you do believe this shit, but you didn't fucking learn the lesson. Don't be an anti-Semitic, racist, sexist piece of shit, Kanye. Go to hell, motherfucker. Goddamn. Yeah, in fact, Pete Davidson is right. Maybe we all should convert to Judaism. Nobody's insane now. Now that Kanye's walking around talking his crazy shit, nobody's insane. Go to Gotham Asylum. I mean, maybe he's the Joker. Is that what's happening? He's the Joker? I don't know. But that Hitler, he's a regular old Tesla, huh? Bullshit. Anne Frank, the Voyage of the Dam. You know the Voyage of the Dam? You had a ship of Jewish people in like 1939. They came to America and we rejected them and they had to go all the way back to Europe. They, like the Mayflower, like Christopher Columbus, they sailed from Europe all the way over here. They were going to land in Cuba and then we sent them back. So eventually America was on the right side on World War II, but it took Pearl Harbor. We didn't go after Hitler when he invaded the Sudetenlands. We didn't go after Hitler when he invaded Poland. We didn't give a shit about any of those. Or we waited until he invaded Poland. And actually we didn't, people declared war or whatever, but it was Britain and France that declared war about the Poland thing. So we waited till Pearl Harbor. And Anne Frank, we helped to rescue him. Russia did more. Soviet Union did more. 80% of the people. But Anne Frank died 1 month before we got there. Could we have got there 1 month? Could we have got there a year earlier? It'd been a lot better. So the Voyage of the Damned, and then God, all them fucking atrocities. Schindler's List. The way that they just kind of methodically said, okay, we got a pile of people. How can we just kill as many people? Zyklon B. So much fucking shit comes out of that. And then the psychology, all those psychology experiments, the Stanford prison experiment. And then it's not the Pavlov, the fucking ringing with the dog. There's a whole bunch of experiments where the obedience experiments. So there's just one example of how obedient are humans. Why the hell did so many people listen to Hitler? Hitler was in charge of this Jewish nation or Christian nation, which means that they, believed in the Bible and goodness and all this stuff. So how was Hitler able to get all these so-called good Christians to do these horrible, atrocious things to their fellow man, to their neighbor, to their friends and family and neighbors? How could that happen here? Are we so, as human beings, just so compliant and so ready to obey anybody and everybody that, Howard Zinn, he says that the three worst atrocities in history, slavery, genocide, and war. Slavery, genocide, and war. The three worst atrocities in history happened because of blind obedience to authority. Blind obedience to authority. And so what World War II and Adolf Hitler, what I learned, he's clearly an evil motherfucker, right? And there's nothing to admire from Hitler. But what I learned from Hitler is just kind of, you have to fight evil like a son of a gun. You have to fight evil like as soon as you see this shit, you got to nip that fucking shit in the bud because look at it, it just got worse and worse and worse. And I can't stand some of these sons of bitches. Motherfuckers want to get into politics, to destroy politics. You know what? If you want to destroy the Democratic Republic, you can't participate. I've been trying to expand the vote for, ever since I could fathom, politics. I've been trying to expand the vote. But you know what? You want to destroy, you're a fucking Nazi? I think we should just revoke the vote. If you're a KKK, Confederate, or a Nazi, We should just strip your right to vote away. And in fact, if you're a pedophile or a murderer or a damn rapist, we should take your right to vote away too. He is representing the worst of the worst, the absolute worst of the worst. That Fuentes is going to bring, the Catholic Church is going to come back. That fucking Hitler, didn't he? Jelly, he was all about that jelly. His niece. Come on now. Come on now. So for George Washington and Woodrow Wilson, it seems like you could have pros and cons. For Adolf Hitler, just nothing but cons. Con. Shall I look up who invented the microphone? No, I won't. Kanye, quit being a racist piece of shit. I mean, it's America, but you can have your hate-filled ideas, but until you're... As soon as your hate-filled ideas become, as soon as you do a crime or commit a crime, you're going to go to jail and you're going to be hit with a hate crime on top of it. So it's probably best not to have a bunch of hate-filled ideas. Right, Kanye? It's probably, you should hate the individual, not the group. There's good and bad in all groups of people. Jesus was a Jew. You're not being a good Christian if you're saying get rid of the Jews, because that means you're saying get rid of Jesus, right? Jesus was a Jew. So you're saying you would have got rid of Jesus? That's how big of a Christian you are? I'm such a big Christian, I would have even sent Jesus to the gallows. That's not a good Christian. Don't be a fucking Pontius Pilate. We need less Pontius Pilates. We need less Nancy and Philip Garridos. We need less of these fucking fake ass. We need more Frederick Douglasses and Fred Hamptons. We need more Frederick Douglasses and Fred Hamptons and Henry Winkler and Harry Houdini.